Hey folks, happy Mother's Day. I hope you're having a good one. I am going to share a story about my mom and my dad, but especially mom. If you know my family, if you know my parents, you probably call them Patty and Kevin. If you're real close to mom, if you grew up with mom, if you remember mom from when she was a little girl on Paddle Creek making mud pies and playing with a rubber-faced Santa Claus doll that she would drag around all over the country, you might call her Patty Joe, which I love. Patty Joe. Hey, Patty Joe. My mom is big fun, big laugh. She's a hard worker. I've seen mom do really, really hard work. And one of those is when I was little, my parents owned two different businesses at two different times. The first was a carpet cleaning business. And carpet cleaning's rough work. Even though you're using a machine, you're going into people's private homes, especially when you go into somebody, you think of these sweet little old ladies sitting there all day and it's 100 degrees outside and they've got the heat on because they're not moving. And so you go in and clean their carpet and it's hotter than Satan's armpit. Or the second job, when I was probably middle or late elementary school, my parents owned a tile waxing business where you would hire them to come in, strip the wax off of the floor, clean the floor, and put new wax and polish down. It's hard work. It's very time consuming. And for a team of two plus a kid, it's not efficient. I mean, it's really labor intensive and time intensive. The number one client my parents had when they were doing this was the Louisa Medical Clinic in Louisa, Kentucky. And when you are a fourth grader, I think I remember being in fourth grade because I was asked to go, hashtag forced to go, help, and they would pay me and they would say, we'll give you X number of dollars if you help us for these several hours. And I remember that I was old enough to help, but not so old that I was a key player in the job. I mean, they used my help, but it wasn't like I was the keystone piece in this whole thing. And I was still in the age of childhood where the money that I was earning from helping was going toward Legos. I was buying great big, the big Lego sets. I don't mean the big ones of today. I mean the big ones of when I was in fourth grade. And you're building a pyramid, and there's this Indiana Jones figure who's going to go search through the pyramids. I'm off track. Anyhow, that's what I was saving my money for. We would go to the Louisa Medical Clinic, and you have to go at off hours. You can't be stripping the floors when clients are there and patients. So you move all the furniture from one side of the clinic to the other side of the clinic, and you clean the floors. You sweep and mop first. You strip the wax off. That stripper is very slimy. Then I think it's been years, obviously, since we did it. You have to clean up that stripper solution. Then you lay layer of wax, layer of wax, layer of wax, polish, polish, polish. Okay, tons and tons of time. And you have to wait for these layers to dry and cool and whatever. There's one story in particular. My mom loves this story. There's one story in particular. We went to the Louisa Medical Clinic, and when we first got there, the ladies up front in the receptionist area had left us a note. It was real short, scratchy, all women here, trash by door, take out, thanks. And they were saying, we don't want to go to the dumpster alone. It's only women here. Could you take care of the trash for us? So we deal with the trash, we sweep the floors, we move all the furniture, and you've got to imagine we're moving examining tables, we're moving waiting room furniture and ferns and all of the stuff, cabinets and you name it. And to a fourth grader, good night. That building, it felt like we were cleaning some sort of international airport. It was huge. When you drive over there now, you say, this is nothing. but it felt like it was enormous. And you're there in the middle of the night. Anyhow, we had a system. We had some sort of a system where you clean this side first, and Mom will do these jobs, and Zach will do these jobs, and Dad will do these jobs. Well, that step where you spread that stripper solution to strip up the old wax is very, very slick and slimy. And my mom had somehow been assigned the floor machine in today's little saga. As an adult, knowing my mom, I think, I don't know that was the best job to give to Patty Jo. I'm not sure. She had the machine, and she is moving the scratchy pad all over the wax floor with stripper solution, and it is scratching up the old wax. This is a monotonous job, and there's a relaxing quality to it. The machine, if you get it going, if you squeeze the bar too much, it's off. But also, if you get it just right, there's it kind of reaches this melodic, simple hum. And once again, knowing my mom, she was in her own little world. And she's moving the buffing machine. Well, it's not buffing, but at this point, she's scratching up the old wax. And she was in her own little zone. I would guarantee you that she was probably singing, "Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles." That or some Olivia Newton-John song. I don't know. And she wasn't really aware of all that was going on. And so she is gingerly moving around as the cord is wrapping around her and the machine. She's continuing in her relaxed head to sing something probably, or telling herself a story. I don't know. The machine starts moving faster and faster and faster, and you start to create a little bit of a whip motion. Well, rather than panic, my mom reaches a point where she is, and she's not going to allow herself to get hurt. That's a different story. We can talk about the ways my mom has broken her arm. But this particular day, she is not going to allow herself to get hurt. So she just very calmly lets go of the machine and steps out of the cord. Well, it had created such centrifugal force that she let go of the machine, and it flew into the wall and left a great big floor machine shape in the wall. She didn't scream. She didn't cuss. She didn't cry. She just stood there and looked at it. Dad came running. "What happened? What happened?" I stood there watching everything. Mom said, I don't know. She said, I got wrapped up in that cord, and I didn't know where it was. I didn't know. She didn't have a very good explanation, and I think that's proof that she was on her own little trip to her own happy little place in her head. And so my dad hit the roof. He was panicky, he was sad, he was angry, he was confused. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to fix this? My dad wants to fix things, and so for years we joked that he always wanted to try and fix things with rough lumber. If I could get me some rough lumber, I bet we could build something. This was not going to be fixed with rough lumber. And so in the middle of Dad having a meltdown, I think he went to one of the examining rooms and sat down and put his face in his hands. And Mom, rather than being a comforter, she stood there next to him and she said, "I'm sorry, I just can't care." It's Isn't that wild? If you know my mom, that's something, that's a skill right there. So there are certain things that my mom simply cannot be bothered about. If you were to call my mom and try to get her to be passionate about some political issue, it ain't going to happen. It is not going to happen. And she'll tell you, I love you, but I just can't care. I just can't care. And so this little scene with the floor machine and the wax and the stripper solution and all of this, it's etched into our family memory. My dad sat there and he said, I feel like we're trying so hard. Because my dad had another full-time job. He said, I feel like we're trying so hard to make just a little bit of money. And here you go breaking through walls. And it's going to cost us money. By the end of that visit, Dad was making a joke. Eventually you come around and you just have to make the best of it. And the note that we had received when we first arrived, Dad said, I feel like I should write another note back. Man here. Woman knock hole in wall. I think one of the things that you should consider about mothers and parents in general is that they have oftentimes, depending on the family, depending on the circumstances, they've made ends meet on a shoestring budget. My parents have stretched together the money for a whole host of different things over my life. And if that meant working at the Louisa Medical Clinic in the middle of the night, so be it. Cleaning people's carpet in really, really hot weather, so be it. My mom, and I'll butcher this story, but I can get the gist of it. Mom and I were talking recently about how God has provided funds just when you need it. Right there down to the wire on a deadline or on an issue. I don't remember what the exact issue was, but there was some bill that needed to be paid. And it was berry season. Some of you may have bought berries from us when I was little. We used to have strawberries, blackberries, and black raspberries. And my grandmother, Mom's mom came because it was berry time, which means it's jelly time. Somehow jelly in my family was treated like a staple. I never understood that. It was like, well, we got to get the jelly. I don't understand how we're going to live without the jelly. So Mama came and we were making jelly. And my mom and dad had some sort of bill. I don't remember what it was for, but they had some sort of bill that they just did not have the money for. And my friend JB, his mom came probably to pick up JB one day. And my mom confided in her. She said, we don't have the money to pay that bill. And his mother said, well, just gather up some jelly. She said, we'll go down to the ball field. I guarantee you some people will buy jelly. And I know that I'm thinking about my mom. She doesn't ever want to look like poor little old Charity, nothing like that. And so I'm sure when JB's mother said that, my mom thought, I feel uncomfortable with this. She looks like the poor little matchstick girl going around. But they did go down to the ball field in Wayne, and JB's mom walked her around and said, hey, we've got some jelly made with homegrown blackberries or raspberries or whichever it was. And to this day, Mom will tell you that the money that they made off of selling those jars of jelly it was either almost or right to the dime on what she owed for that bill. That's a mom. It's also the goodness of God. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having a great week. It's a little rainy and dreary here today, but either way, hope it's a good one. Lots of love. Talk to you soon.